Namco has finally dropped the family line with Namco Classic. So far they had been naming all other sports games Family something. Family Tennis, Family Boxing, Family Stadium. But this is not Family Golf. However, people have noticed that the woman on the cover of Namco Classic and Family Tennis seem to be the same person. So it probably was intended to be part of that same line. This is the Famicom's 5th golf game, and given the missteps we've seen, I didn't really have high hopes for it. That said, this is by far the best golf game we've seen on the Famicom. It's a genuinely good golf game. I'm actually kind of impressed by it. On startup you have 2 different modes, practice or tournament. Practice is just playing the default 18 holes, and you do that anyways with the first round of the tournament, so we're going to start there. You can choose to make your own golfer and set up your own bag, or you can pick from a golfer who's modeled on a real-world player. It's a similar approach to what Namco's been doing with their other sports games. For my outing, I chose to play as Jumbo Ozaki's stand-in, since we've seen him turn up a few times. Well, that was my intention. As I'm recording this, I double-checked my notes, and it turns out I was playing as Isao Aoki's stand-in. The tournament has prize money depending on how well you place, and the game has a password to keep track of that. If you place in first or second, then you go on to more difficult tournaments. And in those later tournaments, they just swap out some of the holes. There's only 24 different holes in the game, so it's not even 2 full courses. Now let's play some golf, and the first thing you're going to notice is that all of the holes are laid out horizontally on the screen rather than vertically. It gives Namco Classic a bit more resolution to work with. On this screen you can see the layout of the hole, the elevation change over the length of it, and the wind. This is also where you select your club. Press A and you go to a view behind your golfer. Here you can see the lie of the ball and adjust where you're going to strike it. That'll add spin that makes the ball go left or right during flight. Press A one more time and you're into the swing. And rather than watching an animated golfer or a line, you have 3/4 of a circle that represents your swing. If your backswing goes past the end of that, it just resets. So you hit A for your power, and then you hit A again when it gets to the bottom for your precision. Similar to other golf games, but what Namco Classic does is that the more power you put into the swing, the faster it comes back for precision. So if you only go 2/3 of the way up on the power meter, it comes back pretty slowly. It becomes a pretty good strategy to intentionally use a stronger club, and then try to use less power with it. After you're off the tee, you can press the B to get advice from your caddy. He can show you the current score and the layout around the green, but the most useful thing he does is tell you the distance to the pin. There's no guesswork for this one. Not that it will always save you. I was consistently underestimating the power of my pitching wedge on approach. On the green, I also had trouble getting used to the putting power. It looks like you could only use 1/4 of it, but the whole thing is available. Also on the green, the location of the pin is randomized every time you play. So there's some additional variation every time you go through the course. During tournament play, there's always another golfer that you're playing with. I found it to be kind of neat to have a partner around the whole thing. Of course, you're playing against the whole field rather than just them. On the par 3 holes, you're offered $1 million if you get a hole-in-one. And there's a bug on this that if you get the $1 million, it's possible to retry the hole and just keep getting $1 million over and over again. And as for those holes themselves, they are actually pretty difficult. I found people who were saying that shooting 100 over par wasn't uncommon your first time around the course. I was actually pleased I was doing significantly better than that, especially when I started out. Though, after a few bad holes, I started taking some riskier shots just to try them. I ended up 18 over par, which is not bad considering that this is supposed to be a very difficult game. And Namco Classic is something that I would play again and try to improve. The game is an enormous step above anything else we've seen so far on the Famicom in terms of golf. And I'd kind of like to get good enough to be able to play the Namco character-themed holes. Namco is going to make a Namco Classic 2, but that one is very late in the Famicom's life. And I can get that. There isn't a whole lot of reason to improve over this game.